Right. Okay.
Nice.
Welcome, everyone. This is Macy.
And I'm Larry.
And today we're talking about how to create a magnetic vision so that you can attract your ideal partner. So we have 3 tips today. Hi, thanks for joining. We have 3 tips today on how to do this. So we'll give you those and then offer a way that you can start practicing this every day in order to start really magnetizing the kind of people that match you so that you can have magnificent love. And I'll just share with you, I am Macy Matarazzo, and I founded Big Happy Love, helping singles stop settling for single and learn to attract the person that adores everything about you. And my website is called bighappylove.com, and I have all sorts of trainings, but I wanted to start offering little free classes for people so that you start getting this content and being able to see a different experience in your life. Because when we have these new perspectives and we have tools and strategies, we really can make a difference in what's going on. So and then Larry's my husband. We met 3 years ago. Well, no, 4 years ago. We've been married for 3 years. And part of what we can share together is how our own personal experience of how we kind of got relationship ready before we met each other. Because what we discovered was that we were both on a path. We were both really consciously looking at how can we attract the person that really is kind of the best possible person for us. And thankfully, we really feel like we have that. So do you want to share your experience?
My experience
who you are?
With me?
Well, who are you?
I am.
What do you do?
What do I do? I'm a chiropractor. I do acupuncture, just different kinds of holistic healing. I'm a wellness coach and lifestyle coach. And I've been doing that for about 27 years. And I've been really enjoying working with Macy, helping give advice on based on our experience, on how we met and our past relationships. And it's been really fun.
So, shall we start?
Let's do it.
This probably won't be very long, but I'm hoping to have multiple classes coming up, so I'll make sure to let everyone know. But so there are 3 tips we want to cover today. The first one is around really knowing yourself and knowing your values. The second one is what I call, I live my life in love like this. And I say it as like a little cheer because I feel like it could actually be a cheer. But like, how do you live your life in love, and like, how do you like want to feel? So we'll talk about that, and I'll give you a technique that I love sharing with my clients that is really, really, really powerful. And then the third piece is kind of learning how do we integrate this more, because one of the most important things is to know how we can, if we say we want something in relationship, how are we doing that today? So we'll talk more specifically about that. But the first one, I think, sounds really obvious, but like really being able to know your values, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that when you talk to your clients about actually sitting down and writing this stuff out, because when do you ever sit down and say, oh, what are my values? But really, when you're trying to meet somebody and you don't really have a clear vision of what you believe in, then you have this vague sense when you meet someone, oh, they're right for me, they're not right for me. But to really have a lot more clarity with that is important.
That is really important, because once you know your values, and I'm going to teach you a little trick on how to kind of uncover those. If you're like, I'm not really sure what I would say, there are ways to kind of uncover that. But when you know, I mean, the most important thing is when you're really clear on that, then you're not going to be derailed by other things. mean, I'll share personally for me, before I did this work, what I found was that I'm a creative person, and I feel like I truly can see good in most everyone. And a lot of the people that I dated, you know, before I got clear, I was easily swayed by one thing. Like I would think, wow, I really respect the fact that this person can be really creative in this area, or I really respect that they are strong in their career, or I really love their sense of humor. There'd be like one big thing that I would latch on to, and then a zillion red flags. And yet I was just kind of holding on to this. When you're really clear, those red flags are evident, and you just move on, because there's no sense in wasting time if someone's not really aligning. I mean, there are big things. So let me share one way that I feel like is a helpful exercise to kind of get to your core values, and then you can share how you did it too. So the way that I recommend is to really reflect on your life and think about the most fulfilling times you've had in your life. Like perhaps you can think about, I always suggest 10 different experiences, like experiences that, you know, even if it's a work thing, maybe you went on a canoe trip in high school for 2 weeks, and that was like one of the most amazing experiences in your life. Like, what was it about that really resonated with you? Was it because you were connected with nature? Is that core to you? Or was it the adventure piece? Is like adventure and travel very core to who you are? So reflecting on that, you know, perhaps it's, I mean, some of the things you can consider that are like the areas that you could pull out of your experiences and stories are, you know, education, spirituality, health, intellect, level of energy. Like some people are really a lot more active than other people, and that would be an important like core thing for you. Can you think of others?
You know, I remember thinking of past relationships I've had, and I remember thinking of the best of each one of those relationships and putting that together into the perfect, you know, where it's like I really loved traveling with this person, and I really enjoyed, you know, going to museums or doing this with this person, and just kind of creating a supervision from that, where okay, I want someone that's into that connects with me on all these levels.
Yeah, and that's another way to look at some of your relationships, to really recognize what really worked and use those as little breadcrumbs to piece things together. That is a great way to do it. The other piece, one other thing to kind of be aware of is like, where are you kind of creating your vision from external expectations? So recognizing, you know, like really getting clear and looking inward and seeing, okay, you know, what is it about these qualities? Are these truly coming from me, or are they, you know, voices from my family or voices from my community or society? Like, what is the influence? And reflect on that and do a little quality check and see where it's truly coming from. Ask yourself.
I think that's a huge one. I think, I kind of wonder if a woman says, oh, you know, she only screens out men that are 5'10" or tall. Is that something really that you absolutely need, or is it more like how you think people will judge you if someone is shorter than you, or
oh yeah, that's
is it really that important to you, or is it more about, oh, my mom doesn't, my mom would freak out if I dated someone who wasn't Jewish, let's say. Whereas it's, it's just not that big a deal for you. Here's an example, and it's kind of like, well, it's important to think about what is mine versus what kind of values are other people maybe projecting on me. And that's a challenging one, but I think it's a really important one to spend time with.
Right. Because ultimately this is about you being so connected to you. And that is a bigger process. I mean, in this vision, there may be people out there feeling like, I'm not really sure how to do that. And honestly, I don't think I even knew I wasn't really connected with me until I started doing a lot more meditation and Kundalini yoga that did bring me back to me and help me feel more comfortable. Because the beauty of meditation as a practice is that it does bring you to connect. It helps you connect to your true self. And when you're connected to your true self, then none of these external things are an influence. It doesn't matter. So I think we can now ease into the second tip. And the second tip is, how do you imagine feeling when you're in your life in love? So when you're with your ideal partner, whoever it is, and if you just leave it as a being, you don't need to know specifics, what his job is, how tall he is, or any of that stuff. If you're just imagining, just like we're sitting next to each other, just being present with your partner, what would it be like? What's life in love like? And really sense that and get into the feeling of it. Did you do that?
I know you're great about doing that. I don't know if I think it's a great idea. I think that, boy, I don't know if I really.
Well, you were meditating a lot.
I was doing a lot of that. That kind of helped me with getting more clarity. It helped me to trust my instincts, is what it helped me to do. So that if I saw those red flags, like you were talking about, I recognized them sooner, and I just kind of moved on. And I also found, we talked about in the last post, that I wasn't taking things as personal.
Because you were doing the meditation.
Yeah, if someone didn't write me back, if someone just stopped, didn't show up or whatever, I just knew that it wasn't about me. They didn't know me.
Right.
It wasn't about me. So it really helped with having a lighter heart around the process, because I wasn't taking things seriously, and therefore it didn't, it wasn't bringing up any kind of difficult emotions.
Okay, so in practicing your meditation, you were able to kind of experience a more gentleness with yourself, and therefore it made the process easier.
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
So.
And I think you don't put up the wall, if you have this sense of rejection a lot, and people, oh, this person didn't call me back, what's going on here, this person, you start putting up this wall, and it's a wall that's not going to attract quality people if you're psychologically going at it from this annoyed point of view.
Okay, so that's a good point for back to the vision, feeling the life in love, that it's important to experience before you are out there dating and everything, experience that feeling of having an open heart and an open mind. Because I feel like you have to be open in all areas of your life to be doing this. So you're opening up your heart, your mind, your schedule, everything, to allow love to come in. So in the second step, what I always recommend as a practice, and this is just a simple meditation I'll share with you. Here, scoot over, you're kind of halfway out of it. This is a meditation that I can share with you that is super simple. It's just having a moment each day where you sit and you just close your eyes, go internal, and just imagine what it's like to be in the presence of your future partner. And the biggest trick here is, because we've probably all heard this before, like really get in that space of feeling what it's like to give and receive love, feeling what it's like to know that you feel complete trust, feeling what it's like to have that unwavering commitment, feeling what it's like to just feel that spark, the butterflies. And so for me, I hadn't had all of that together in one package before, I was single. So this is the thing, like if you haven't had it before, there may be some of this that you're kind of manufacturing and imagining. Either you're, like Larry said, he was like piecing together things he liked in different relationships, but also if you feel like you haven't had that experience of like really deep love, then think about other ways love is experienced in your life and harvest it from something, because I truly believe that there are very few people that haven't experienced any form of love. Like, I think one of the most powerful one is with our animals.
This one right here.
Yeah, so you can imagine like it's instant love when you see your animals. So if you're an animal person, this is perfect for you. So really thinking about that, maybe it's a grandparent, maybe it's someone that you really felt completely adored by, a teacher, and whatever. I mean, just letting it be something that, you kind of construct within you when you're doing this practice. So feeling that love and feeling really playful when you do this. So imagine that you're a kindergartner and just show up that way and just sit for a minute and just imagine your future partner is sitting right in front of you. So if you're right here, and reach out like with your hands and hold hands.
Nice.
So just if you can hold hands, and if you do that right now, I notice as soon as I hold hands, like even I can imagine holding your hand. So if I reached out and held your hand, I immediately feel some energy here, like coming into my body, and I feel really this comfort. And in this comfort and play, that's all I need. I mean, you don't have to construct the person very specifically. It's just that feeling of being present with someone who is adoring and adores you, and just feeling that sweetness. So I encourage you to do this meditation on a regular basis, and you only need 20 seconds of this feeling of love and trust and comfort with your future partner for it to actually influence your cells. So influencing your cells at a deep level where you're actually rewiring yourself for love. This is real. So this is super powerful in healing any past stuff that maybe felt painful in relationship. This actually starts healing it. And if you are doing this every day, you can really feel it. And this is a practice I did before I met you. And honestly, it's amazing. I feel like you felt like what I felt in that meditation. Mm-hmm. And we actually do that sometimes, so that's kind of cool. So I call that meeting your future partner. So invite your future partner in, sit with them for at least a minute a day, and let me know how it goes. Macy@bighappylove.com. I would love to hear how you're meeting your future partner meditation is going. So thanks, you guys, for sticking around. It's so great having you here. Thank you. Thank you. We have one more tip. So the final one is then going back to your vision. So if you've written notes about it and have experienced that feeling of being with your future partner, really notice in your kind of specific vision, like when you're writing down, for me, some of my values were, you know, being with someone who's creative, being with someone who has a spiritual practice, being with someone who loves animals. So those were kind of core things to me. And I also wasn't at a point anymore where I was interested in having kids. So it was important that I met someone who didn't want to have kids. So, you know, those were core pieces. So really looking at that, like for me, for example, I wanted to be with someone who had a spiritual practice. Well, I had to look at my life and say, where am I having my own spiritual practice? Hold on. And where am I living my life in a creative way? So looking at what you want and reflecting on your life right now, seeing how am I living that? Because if you're not living what you actually want in relationship, then how are you going to attract it? So it's important to be incorporating those.
Yeah, that last thing you just mentioned, I just kind of flashed back to filling out a Match.com profile, online profiles. And, you know, I've heard this before, people like, you should describe who you are, not who you want to be.
Yes.
And so when you're saying, oh yeah, I do yoga twice a week, 3 years ago, I don't really do it anymore. So, or I'm slender 5 years ago, not really right now.
Well, that's a hard one because it's a whole subjective
thing. That's a whole subjective thing. But, you know, in terms of values, I really, you know, I go to church every Sunday, which I did 10 years ago.
Right.
And thinking, okay, you have two options. You could either be more honest with yourself and say, okay, I'm not really doing that. Or you write it down, you go, you know, that really is who I am. Why aren't I doing that anymore? And then you can start living that life that you're writing down, saying, this is really who I really am. I just have gotten out of touch with it. So actually, you know, getting on board with what you're kind of reminding yourself are your core values.
Right. I mean, it's important. And sometimes this takes a little work. If there's things in your life that you would like to work on it. You know, really it's about, you know, being the best you can be to be the one, to find the one. And I say that's actually my friend, Mary Lyman, who's also a love coach. She talks about that a lot. Like, you really have to be living, you know, and being the you that you want to bring into the relationship. And so that's just an awareness to have. So yeah, thinking about that, like, and I also think that it's an important part of, like, getting out into the world and being around the people that are like you. So if it's important for you to be with someone who has a spiritual practice, then where are those groups out there that you can get engaged with, which are aligned with you, and also offers the potential to meet people like you? I mean, if you're single and you're ready to meet your special person, then it's worth taking the time to do whatever you need to do to be, you know, your healthiest in relationship. Because it took me quite a while to kind of get clear, because I really wasn't clear. And that's why I want to talk about vision so much, is because I think a lot of people think they have a clear vision and they don't. And that actually kind of brings me to some places where people get stuck. And I'll just name a few of the places where people get stuck in their vision. And so, like, when I hear people talking about their vision and they say things like, well, it would be nice if they at least